Welcome back to the channel, guys. We have got round number 19 of the Formula One season in 2022 at the US Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. Looking forward to this race. We got Sainz starting in first place, Verstappen in second, and then a lot to look forward to with Mercedes on the second row of the grid. Charles Leclerc in 12th position, looking to make up a lot of places as well. This should be a very exciting race indeed. We got Sergio Perez starting in ninth, so both Perez and Leclerc will be making a charge up the field. There's points up for grabs in the midfield. We got Lando Norris up in sixth place, Valtteri Bottas in seventh, Albon in eighth, starting in the points, and then we've got Seb Vettel in 10th as well. Looking forward to this race. We obviously Circuit of the Americas is one of the best circuits on the calendar in terms of side by side on track racing, and with these new cars, it looks to be going to get even better. So we are 19 minutes away from lights out. Well, 19 minutes away from the formation lap starting, and then we will have lights out after that. We've got some team radio from Lewis Hamilton. All the drivers are currently on the grid, all waiting with their engineers, just sorting out the final couple of strategy checks and stuff before they get in their cars and go for the formation lap. We've got some team radio from Hamilton, so let's have a listen to this.
This left brake is just not working the same. There's less friction, can't get the temperature up. At least 100, 150 off.
Yeah, copy. See that?
Car's pulling to the right, so it's making it a bit difficult.
Okay, so Lewis Hamilton having brake issues. What he said over the radio was that the left brake has got a lot less friction. So obviously the brakes work by squeezing together against the brake caliper and then, of course, slowing the car down. The issue, of course, is when you have less friction, you've got less slowing down force, and hence the less friction you've got, the less temperature you get. So Lewis Hamilton has 150 degrees temperature difference between the left and the right brake. So that means once he does hit the brakes, he's going to get a significantly more braking performance from the right brake compared to the left brake. And then the car is going to want to turn towards the right-hand side. That is, well, not ideal. Mercedes have been having brake issues with George Russell in Japan and Singapore. And here now Lewis Hamilton has got brake issues. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, I think that's on the front tire that he will be having the brake issues, but yeah, we haven't got anything confirmed there, whether it's on the front or the back. But nevertheless, brake issues are pretty annoying and very difficult to deal with, especially with a 150-degree temperature difference in brake temperatures. It's going to be pretty tough if they can't sort out that till the start of the race. All right. Who do you think is going to win the race? Well, I'm going to say it's between Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen. Both drivers doing extremely well in qualifying, and yeah, it'll very much just be a battle between the two. Now, of course, we know that Ferrari's strategy really isn't that great, so we'll just have to wait and see. We can hope that that Carlos Sainz can go and get his third race win, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Oh no, sorry, his second race win. He got his third pole position yesterday. So Carlos Sainz increasing his tally of pole positions. All right. Let's see. We got Lewis Hamilton and George Russell on the second row of the grid. Sorry, in third and fourth position. They can definitely score a podium this weekend with Leclerc down in 12th and Perez in 9th. Overtaking is pretty straightforward around this circuit, but with a two-stop strategy, there is a lot to play for, and having two cars side by side allows a lot of strategy options for the Mercedes team to play around with, and hopefully, to put their car on the podium. Right, so let's go through the strategy information from Pirelli. So Pirelli have said that the fastest strategy will be starting the race on the medium tyres, going onto the hards, and then going back onto the mediums for your final stint. The second fastest strategy is the mediums, then the hards, and then the hards. And then the third fastest is the mediums, then the hards, and then the softs for the final stint. Now, of course, if there are safety car conditions towards the end, it might be better to go for the third strategy. Have those soft tires to get out a lot more performance towards the end of the race. But we'll have to wait and see. Also, yes, Leclerc has got a new engine. That's why he's got a 10-place grid penalty. It's his 6th internal combustion unit of the season. So he is down, and his 6th turbocharger as well. So, well, 2 turbochargers because it's a twin turbo engine. But yeah, Charles Leclerc down from 2nd position into 12th due to a 10-place grid drop of extra engine components. Then the same can be said for Sergio Perez. He's got a fresh ITE. Oh no, Sergio Perez, sorry, has got a 5-place grid penalty from the safety car infringement at Suzuka, where he went slightly ahead of the safety car under the safety car conditions, went side by side and ahead, which of course broke the rules. He got a 5-second penalty and then a 5-place grid drop for the next race, but it hasn't affected him so far. We got Fernando Alonso as well with a 5-place grid drop, and the same could be said for Guan Yu Zhou. All right. Let's see what else is going up. What else is going on? Right. Also, the other thing is that Lance Stroll is the only driver that has a fresh set. Oh no, never mind. Lance Stroll's the only driver that doesn't have a fresh set of medium tires. Lance Stroll starting up in 5th position. That's a very lofty position there for an Aston Martin. Of course, they do have some quite good performance this weekend, but yeah, the Aston Martin usually down probably in 15th position. 5th is I think a good start, probably the highest that they've started all season actually. So it's looking good for Aston Martin. Maybe they can score some good points. We've got Stroll in 5th, Vettel in 10th. 13 minutes away from the race start. So yeah, what are you looking forward to on this in this Grand Prix? Do let me know in the chat. And yeah, also another just some quick info. When you go through the safety car, when you go through the pit lane, you lose 20 seconds during a pit stop. So 20 seconds to drive through the pit lane and then 2 seconds for your pit stops. And then once you're going under virtual safety car or safety car conditions, it is 14 seconds. So you gain 6 seconds in the pits if you do have a safety car. In the past 7 years, we've only had, I think, 2 safety cars. Oh no, 1 safety car, sorry, in the past 7 years. So it's the odds the past 8 years. Sorry, oh god, I've got these all stats all wrong. So yeah, in the past 8 years, we've had 1 safety car. So it's not that often that we do get a safety car around this circuit, because it is very wide, lots of runoff. So it should be pretty standard running for today's race. Looking for Alonso to score some points. Well, Alonso is actually very good in qualifying, but yeah, of course he's down into 14th place because of his grid penalty. Esteban Ocon also in the pits. I think Ocon has a bit of an issue. I will find out what Ocon's issue is. But track temperature are 33 degrees, air temperature 28 degrees. So overheating shouldn't be too much of an issue. And yeah, overheating in terms of engine temperatures and tire temperatures, both of them shouldn't be too much of an issue because the air is cooler. And so is the track compared to yesterday's qualifying session. All right, who won the race here last year? I don't think we had a race here last year. Oh no, we did. It was Max Verstappen that I think won. So yeah, Oh no, it was a very close battle though between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. It was Hamilton was chasing him down. He took an extra pit stop. Hamilton was chasing him down in the last 5-10 laps or so. He got extremely close. He in fact got DRS on the last lap. But then he missed out. He got really close going down the start-finish straight, but then through the S section he got a bunch of dirty air because the cars last year, of course, didn't have the new regulations, and then he lost out and didn't get the second DRS detection point, and that's why he ended up not overtaking Max Verstappen for on the final lap. So yeah, hopefully we can get some racing like that. Yeah, that'd be great to see. We got nearly 500 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you could hit the like button, that would very much be appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed already, trying to hit 50k by the end of the season. And with only 4 races left to go, we probably need around about 1,000 or so people subscribing every single weekend. So that will be, if you could contribute to that goal, then that would be wonderful. Right, 11 minutes now for the race to get underway. I'll take you through a lap of COTA while we're at it. So this is the start-finish straight. Of course, it is rather standard length start-finish straight. We've got DRS going down there, and uphill into turn number 1. It's very, very steep uphill. So the drivers will be braking around about the 80-meter mark, going from 8th gear all the way down into 3rd. Then just hooking the car around turn number 1. The exit of turn number 1, that curb is absolutely vicious. So you do not want to be going over there. And then the drivers just go down the hill through turn number 2 and 3, and then the next section is very much just the S section of the corner. We've got S section of the track. 3, 4, 5, and 6. All of those corners are very long sweeping corners, and the drivers just minimize the amount of steering input that they put in, because otherwise they will be scrubbing off way too much speed going through those corners. It is flat out in these cars. Of course, the diffuser really starts working once you get up to those high speeds. So the cars look absolutely incredible going through turn number 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we have turn 7, 8, and 9. These are a little more tricky. Probably going through there around fourth or fifth gear. And then turn number 9, you've got track limits on the exit. Also track limits. We need to talk about that after this. So at turn number 9, we've got track limits on the edge here. There's AstroTurf. But if all 4 of your wheels go past the white line, you will get your lap time deleted. And it is, I think, 3 warnings. And then you get a 5-second time penalty. So yeah, drivers have to watch out. Otherwise, they will be racking up some penalties. We saw in practice sessions drivers exceeding track limits basically every single lap. So yeah, it's pretty strict around here. And then you go to turn number 11. Once again, just another hairpin. The drivers brake around about the 100-meter mark, and then rotate the car as much as possible to get a good exit, because getting that corner speed at this corner isn't that important. Mainly just getting a very good exit onto this 1.2-kilometer long straight. That's the most important part. We've got a very long DRS zone around here as well, so overtaking should be pretty straightforward. But it is towards the end of the straight. So that's going to mean that we're going to get a lot of side-by-side action going into turn number 12 and 13. And talking of turn number 12, it's the biggest braking zone on the entire circuit. The driver's around 320 kilometers an hour reaching that point. That's 200 miles an hour for you folks that use miles per hour. And then, yeah, going through turn number 12, and there's once again track limits on the exit of turn number 12. Then turn number 13, 14, 15, and there are so many different variations of lines you can take through there. It's very incredible to see the overtaking that we're going to see here, especially on lap number 1. All of the drivers will be squabbling for some track position going through there. And then we've got turn number 16, 17, 18. There's all very much just one long right-hander. And yeah, the drivers are trying to stay as close to the possible as the inside and also not scrub off too much speed. And then they reach to turn number 19, the Andretti corner, as it's been named on Thursday, I think. So yeah, turn number 19, the exit of turn number 19, once again, a very vicious curb. You don't want to be going over there. It's got a lot of ridges, so you get some vibrations through the car and definitely lose traction as well. So there's a little bit of a dab of the brakes on turn number 19, flick the car in, and then you've got a standard 90-degree left-hand corner for turn number 20, back onto the start-finish straight. So that is a 5.5-kilometer lap of the Circuit of the Americas. We've got 56 laps of racing here today, and it is a predicted 2-stop race, which is great to see. All right. All right, let me know in the chat who your predictions are for who's going to win. MCG719 says Sainz will do fine. It's Ferrari that you have to worry about. That is very true indeed. We'll have to wait and see what their strategy is today. Let's see. What happened to Charles? He got a grid penalty. They have a grid penalty because you're only allowed 3 engine components per season. So you're only allowed 3 internal combustion units and 3 turbochargers, etc., etc. But Charles Leclerc has used 6 internal combustion engines and 6 turbochargers. So that is why he has got grid penalties, and that's why he's down from second position into 12th. All right. Let's see what else is there. We're 6 minutes now away from going for the formation lap. Let's see. Toto Wolff has said we've got nothing to lose, so we'll go for it. And yeah, Mercedes haven't got any wins this season. Of course, Hamilton will be looking to keep his streak going of winning a race every single season he's competed in. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see if he can continue that. We've got some more team radio from Lewis Hamilton. Let's see if we've got any updates on his brake issues.
His left brake is just not working the same. There's less friction, can't get the temperature up. At least 100, 150 off.
Yeah, copy. See that?
Car's pulling to the right, so definitely making it a bit difficult.
Yeah, the mechanics are still working away. We haven't got any updates about Mercedes' situation. So yeah, but George Russell has also said that they're going to be pretty bold with the strategy since well, as Toto Wolff also said, they've got nothing really to lose. They might as well just go full send. If they lose out, then they're not really going to lose anything in the constructors' championship. They're not really going to lose anything in the drivers' championship. So they might as well just go full send. Let's see if we got any updates on Alpine. Esteban Ocon has got more power unit components. So between qualifying and the race, he's decided to go and get some fresh power unit components. So he will be starting from the pit lane. So that is why he is down in 20th position. So more fresh power unit components for Esteban Ocon, and that is why he is down there. Also, another thing, the gap between Alpine and McLaren is 13 points in the battle for fourth place in the constructors. The difference between fourth and fifth place, around about 4 million euros. So yeah, it's definitely worth it to try and score those extra points. Lando Norris starting in sixth, and Alonso and Ocon in 14th and 20th. So it's going to be a pretty tough ask for them to get all the way up into the points and outscore Lando Norris. We'll see what they can do though. All right. Yeah, 3 minutes and 45 seconds till lights out now. Hello, Game of Fab King. Nice to see you back. Hello, Vito Corelloni. I don't know how to say that name, sorry. Any chance for rain? No, there is no chance for rain. We're here in Texas, of course, and yeah, it's pretty hot and dry. Wind speeds around about 6 kilometers an hour, so nothing too fast. But yeah, it gets pretty gusty at this part of Texas. So maybe we'll see a few freak spins here and there due to some weird wind conditions. All right. Yeah, Red Bull can once again, they can wrap up the constructor championship. Of course, last race, we had Max Verstappen wrap up the drivers championship. So outscoring Charles Leclerc by enough points to go on to win the championship. Now, if Red Bull outscore Ferrari by, I think it's 7 points, then they end up winning the constructors championship. So as long as Red Bull score 26 points today, they are guaranteed to win the constructors championship. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Even if it's a Ferrari 1-2 and a Red Bull 3-4, for Red Bull still end up winning the constructors this race. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Of course, their founder actually passed away yesterday, so it'll be a great tribute for them to win the constructors today. All right. Also, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It definitely does help out the channel and the stream, because of course, more likes means more. The YouTube algorithm thinks that the stream's good, and then it gets recommended to more people. And that's great to see, because the more the merrier. Hello, Zoe Hall. Nice to see that you are watching the stream. Glad that you're back. I actually know a person called Zoe, and yeah, they're very, very cool indeed. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What have we got further down the field? We've got Kevin Magnussen starting in 13th position. We'll wait and see what he can do. He's outqualified Mick Schumacher. Actually, one of the probably few times he's done in the second half of the season. Schumacher's had a very good second half of the season, but Magnussen outqualifying him this weekend. Of course, it's Haas's home race, so they're starting in 13th and 16th position. Hopefully, they can score some points. And of course, they've announced their new sponsor, MoneyGram, for the next year, which is actually very good, because Haas have had two sponsors that they've announced. They had, of course, Rich Energy, and then I forgot the other one, what it was, but yeah, basically they weren't very legit companies that you would want to be working with for a sponsorship, but MoneyGram seems to be good. So yeah, hopefully it's onwards and upwards for Haas now, going into 2023. All right, we are now 1 minute away from the race starting. We've got the tire information. So drivers starting on the medium tires, we have got, let's have a look. Everyone is practically starting on the mediums. So, right, everyone's on the mediums except for Kevin Magnussen, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, and Esteban Ocon. So the two Haas's and the two Alpines are starting on hard tires. Everyone else is starting on mediums. We got Vettel and Stroll starting on a used set of mediums that they've done one lap on. Everyone else on fresh tires. So most drivers going according to the predicted Pirelli strategy of starting the race on the mediums, and then they can go and decide, do they go into the hards, do they do another lap on do they do another stint on the mediums, But yeah, there we go. All right, we got nearly 1,800 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And the formation lap is now underway. The drivers will be starting to move around the lap, just driving around, warming up their tires, and getting ready to go racing. All right. Oh, Game of Five King, don't worry. Your apprenticeship's going well, but you got a final exam. Yeah, yeah. I mean, exams are very important. I missed I think 4 races or so because of my exams. So yeah, you don't have to be coming onto streams every single weekend. It's pretty cool. All right. Hello from South Africa. Wow. We've got loads of people watching from all over the world. That is very cool indeed. Okay. Right. So the drivers now just going on their way on the formation lap. Hopefully, we'll find out if Hamilton's brake issues have been fixed or not. But yeah, let's find out. In fact, we got some team radio from Carlos Sainz, who's starting from pole position. So let's have a listen.
It will be turbo engagement at light point here. Yeah, as usual, yeah. So wait for the turbo engagement and you can go ahead. Everybody on mediums in the top 10.
Okay, yeah. So they're just discussing when to start for the formation lap. And yeah, Carlos Sainz, of course, only been on pole 2 times before this, so hasn't got the experience of what lighting conditions you've got to have. Is it the 5 green lights, or do you have to wait for all of them to turn on before you can start the formation lap? And yeah, we'll wait and see what you can do though. All right. So the drivers now just making their way around the final sector. We'll wait and see what they can do. All right. So Sainz now approaching the final corner. He'll be doing a couple of burnouts here to get his rear tire temperature up. So he has some good traction off the start. And then yeah, all of the drivers now just backing up, and Carlos Sainz getting ready to go racing. All right. What happened to Charles? He got a 10-place grid penalty, so that is why he's got down from second place to 12th. Also, someone asked Jeffrey Kwang, what's the purpose of a formation lap? It is that Formula One cars have an operating window, so their tires and their brakes have an operating window. And if you start from like complete standstill when they've been stopped for like half an hour, their tires and brakes aren't in the correct operating window, and you'd have absolute carnage at turn number 1. So the formation lap is just to get every component of the car in working conditions, and then you can go racing to maximum attack conditions. All right. So we have Carlos Sainz. He's lined up on the front of the grid, and then of course we have everyone else coming up behind him. Yep, everyone now just queuing up. Carlos Sainz's tires will be getting rather cold now, but we'll wait and see what he can do. Right, Yuki Tsunoda, the final driver, lines up in the 19th position slot. We got Esteban Ocon starting from the pit lane, but this is it. The race will be getting underway in a matter of seconds. This lights out and away we go. Max Verstappen's got a brilliant start, already ahead of Carlos Sainz. Both Mercedes side by side going into turn number 1, and we've got a yellow flag already. We've got Carlos Sainz is out, and he's already into 19th position. He started the race in pole, and he's already into last, second to last place. That is very unfortunate indeed. Looks like he had oh wait, no, he's definitely down. All right, so that has been a pretty tragic race start. Carlos Sainz spinning at turn number 1, so he's all the way into 19th position. But back up at the front, we got Verstappen, then Hamilton in second place, very much replicating last year. We got Stroll up into third, Vettel up 5 positions off the race start. Absolutely fantastic. We got Russell in 4th, Vettel in 5th, Lando Norris in 6th, Perez in 7th, and Pierre Gasly in 8th. Now they're all going down the straight. Lots of slipstreaming going on, but Verstappen has already built a 1.1 second gap. Stroll on the back of Hamilton, Vettel on the back of Russell, and in fact Vettel looking down the inside of George Russell, down into turn number 12, decides not to go for it. But what a brilliant start from the German. You love to see it. All right. So here we go then. Max Verstappen leading the way. Carlos Sainz definitely in 19th position. And yeah, very unfortunate for him. Can we get an F in the chat there for Carlos Sainz? But yeah, I mean, he is his third race starting from pole position, and he's well binned it really. And yeah, all the way down into 19th place. All right. So here we go then. On our way on the second lap, we got Verstappen in first, Hamilton second, Stroll in third, Russell in fourth, and Vettel in fifth. DRS will be enabled on the next lap, but this is a very shocking race start indeed. Carlos Sainz into the pits. It looks like he's got a bit of damage as well, so we will be replacing his front wing as he drives around. Okay, so here we go then. Hamilton actually quite a lot slower than Max Verstappen here. And in fact, Aston Martin here might be able to play the team game. We've got Stroll ahead of Russell, and we've got Vettel in fifth, who's within DRS range of George Russell. So we could see an Aston Martin sandwich holding off, and potentially we could see Vettel overtake Russell, which would be great to see. Both Aston Martins up in third and fourth. I was not expecting that. Yeah, when I started commentating for today. What happened to Charles? He had a grid penalty, so he was in second place, and then grid penalty down to 12th, and he's gained 2 positions off the race start. Mick Schumacher on those hard tyres, losing out 3 positions, going down, getting a pretty bad exit off turn number 11, and then yeah, he's not doing so great. So he's lost 3 positions, and all of the hard tyre runners, except Fernando Alonso, in 17th, 18th, and 19th, so not ideal there. The medium tyre significantly stronger off the start of the race. In fact, the gap between the hard tyres and the medium tyres is, the medium tyres are 4/10 slower than the softs, and the hard tyres are 1.1 seconds slower. So it's around about 6/10 of a second gap between the hard and the mediums. And yeah, that's why all of these drivers are struggling so much. Fernando Alonso being able to hold himself up, holding up Yuki Tsunoda and Nicolas Latifi behind him. But yeah, it's pretty rough there for Fernando Alonso as well. All right. Let me just adjust this map for a second. There we go. Okay. But yeah, we got Max Verstappen setting the fastest lap of the race, 2 seconds faster, 2 seconds ahead, of Lewis Hamilton. And let's just have a look at his sector times. So actually not going personal best or anything really. But Max Verstappen looks like he's already gone into conserving mode. He's starting to put in yellow sectors already. Lewis Hamilton, a purple first sector. Looks like he's trying to catch up to Max Verstappen, but he'll have a pretty tough time, of considering that Mercedes is quite a bit slower than the Red Bull. Of course, Mercedes have got the upgrades this weekend, quite a lot of upgrades, in fact. But yeah, there's still quite a sizable gap between Red Bull and Mercedes. Okay. All right. Let's see. Sainz is spun by Russell and a punctured tire. Yeah. Okay. So Carlos Sainz, what happened was there was contact between George Russell and Carlos Sainz. Sainz got spun around and he got a puncture. George Russell went on doing just fine, but of course he's stuck behind Lance Stroll, which is pretty crazy to say, really. We've got Stroll under pressure from George Russell, and we got Vettel under pressure from Sergio Perez. That would be great to see that little battle happen out there. We got Bottas overtaking Alex Albon, so put himself up into the points places. But Bottas doing a brilliant move down the inside of turn number 1 on Alex Albon. So good job there. Good job there from him. All right, what else is going on the circuit? We have got Yuki Tsunoda. In fact, we've got a pretty big DRS train from Valtteri Bottas all the way down to Guan Yu Zhou. So 6 places of a grid, 6 driver long DRS train. So choo-choo. But yeah, Vettel's still up in 5th. There's a bit of a DRS train forming behind Lando Norris as well. and it will be well. We're going to see what can happen here. We've got Perez in sixth position and Russell in fourth. Both of them trying to overtake two Aston Martins, and here they go down into turn number 12. Perez makes the overtake on on Vettel. Vettel doesn't fight it. He knows that he's in a completely different battle, completely different league. Sorry, compared to Sergio Perez. He might as well just save some time. He's got a 3 second gap to Pierre Gasly behind him. So if he just doesn't battle against Sergio Perez, get some extra DRS and a bit of slipstream, he might as well gain some time against Pierre Gasly, which will be very much needed if he's going to stay into the points. George Russell, though, still struggling against Lance Stroll. I mean, we'll have a look at these top speeds here. But it looks like Stroll being able to comfortably defend against George Russell, which is rather strange to say because the Aston Martin is around about a second slower than the Mercedes in race conditions. And yeah, we've got George Russell going comfortably 23 kilometers an hour faster down the straight compared to Lance Stroll, still not being able to make an overtake. We'll have to wait and see what will happen there. But yeah. All right. But it looks like all of the drivers have now just gone into tire conserving mode. I mean, look at the sectors from Max Verstappen. We've got all yellow sectors basically. If you look at Hamilton, Hamilton's going purple through turn number 1. So I think what he's doing is just experimenting with his brakes, because of course he had that brake issues at on the lap to the grid. So he's just checking out his brakes, seeing what the limit really is. So that's why he's got purple there. But also him going yellow through most of the sectors. Let's have a look at George Russell. Yep, yellow. So it is not looking good really, and the drivers are very much going into tire management mode. So there we are. All right, what happened to Sainz? Sainz had contact at the start of the race. Also, in fact, Sainz is retired. So yeah, Sainz has retired. So can we get an F in the chat for Carlos Sainz? He got contact with George Russell at the start of the race, and then he had a puncture. And then after the puncture, he came into the pits, and then never came out again. So yeah, Carlos Sainz retired from this race. It looks like he got a bit more damage as well, not just a puncture. But yeah, well, I will get an update on the penalty situation. Did George Russell get a penalty or not? As soon as I can. But we've got some team radio from Mick Schumacher here. He's currently in 16th position. Let's see what he can do.
Okay, your tires are coming in and they're going to go for longer, so we'll get the fight back to them.
Yeah, so it took around 5 laps or so to get these hards into correct conditions where they can actually start pushing. And yeah, we'll wait and see which teams decide to go out on the hards. Will the undercut be the better strategy, or will the overcut work out to be faster? We'll have to wait and see. But Nicholas Latifi has just come into the pits, the absolute goat of Formula One, has just come into the pits after 5 laps on medium tyres. I mean, the fact that he's just got so much pace and so much speed, those medium tyres just got worn out in 5 laps. So that's why he's come in for an extra pit stop. And Nicholas Latifi out again on another set of medium tyres. We have Charles Leclerc just overtaking Lando Norris. Absolutely brilliant job there from Charles Leclerc into turn number 1. Lando Norris doesn't try to fight back, and then through the S section, of course, loses so much time due to dirty air. He ends up 2 seconds behind the Ferrari driver. We've had Perez just overtake Stroll now. So George Russell, in fact, Stroll was overtaken by Russell, and now he's just been overtaken by Sergio Perez. But Aston Martin still holding some solid positions here, 5th and 6th place there for the Aston Martin drivers. And then we've got Charles Leclerc now closing up on the back of Sebastian Vettel. We'll wait and see. Those two drivers, of course, former teammates. We'll wait and see if there's a bit of friendship there, and it does Vettel just let Leclerc through, or is he going to put up a bit of a tougher battle? Of course, overtaking is pretty difficult. We saw it took a while for George Russell to get past, and a while for Sergio Perez to get past. But I think if Vettel puts his car in the correct places, he could pose a pretty big threat for Charles Leclerc in his race today. We are on lap number 7 of 56 here at the Circuit of the Americas. And yeah. All right. Verstappen pulling away from Lewis Hamilton. 2.6 seconds is the gap between himself and Lewis, and the gap between the two Mercedes drivers is 5.5 seconds. And that just shows you what happens when you get caught up in traffic. Russell was stuck just behind Lance Stroll, and that has cost him 5.5 seconds to his teammate. So that is not great there. All right. Also, George Russell has been awarded a 5-second time penalty for contact at the start of this race. So when he does come into the pits, he will have to do it. His pit stop will be 5 seconds longer than usual because he will be serving that 5-second time penalty. Also, Pierre Gasly makes a brilliant overtake on Lando Norris going to turn number 12. He brakes slightly earlier. Sorry, Lando Norris goes in deep and then gets a switchback on Lando Norris into turn number 12. So brilliant racing there from Pierre Gasly, and the track also doing a great job being nice and wide at the correct parts. And then allowing Gasly to make that overtake. I think Norris will fight this one back because it's pretty important for McLaren to outscore Alpine by a couple of points at least in today's race. Otherwise, that gap will go down from 13 into even smaller numbers, and potentially in Alpine's favour, which is not what McLaren want. And once again, Pierre Gasly and Lando Norris side by side going through turn number 1. Who gets the better acceleration is Pierre Gasly. It's also got the inside line for turn number 2, and then swoops around the outside of Lando Norris for turn 3, and that is the position sealed, at least for now. Pierre Gasly having a nice little tussle there with Lando Norris for 8th position. And then we've got Valtteri Bottas also now coming up on the battle. They've battled so much so that Bottas, who was previously a second and a half behind, is now only half a second, and looking to make this now a 3-way battle for 8th position. Well, Perez now catching up on the back of George Russell. 0.3 is the gap, in fact, going down the straights. DRS very much coming to aid Sergio Perez here. The Red Bull already had pretty good top speed, and DRS just amplifying that even more. Russell will now be under quite a bit of pressure. We saw that Perez had no struggle overtaking Lance Stroll, whereas George Russell did. Of course, the Red Bull is slightly the faster car, and of course, the high top speed assists in that overtaking as well. So it should be a pretty straightforward overtake there for Sergio Perez if Russell doesn't put up a fight. But if Russell has been instructed by Mercedes, you might as well battle this out. Then it will be a pretty tough overtake there for Sergio Perez. We've got some team radio from George Russell. Let's have a listen to this.
Yeah, 0.6. Is it a battery or temperature?
All right. So the gap is 0.6. George Russell struggling with temperature a bit. But I suspect that, well, if Mercedes tell you the gap, I think it's going to be you're going to put up a fair amount of a fight. So let's have a little bit of a comparison between Sergio Perez and George Russell's sectors. So Russell faster through the third sector, Perez faster through the first and second sectors. Once again, through the first sector, Sergio Perez faster. So the dark blue lines represents the Red Bull, of course, and the light blue lines represent the Mercedes. So through the first sector, we've got the Red Bull being the faster car. We'll wait and see what it is through the remaining sectors. But the gap between Russell and Perez is 0.9 of a second. And we'll wait and see what happens to that gap in the next couple of laps. All right. Also, we were halfway to the pit stop window. I think Pirelli said you can do around 25 or so laps on the medium tires. Oh no, Pirelli said you can only do 19 or so laps on the medium. So between lap number 14 and lap number 19, you will be doing your pit stop on those medium tires. And yeah, so we're halfway through the pit stop window. These tires will start wearing out now. And yeah, we'll be seeing some pit stops coming up very soon. Of course, this circuit is very demanding on the tires. The surface is rather rough. And then, of course, the high-speed sector of turn number 1, and then especially turn number 16, 17, and 18 are absolutely brutal on your front left tire. So we'll just have to wait and see how the pit stops go. All right, once again, George Russell faster in the third sector, and Sergio Perez faster in the first 2 sectors. All right. We'll wait and see what can happen there. Charles Leclerc catching up to the back of Sebastian Vettel. The gap now is 1 second between the two drivers. We'll wait and see what Leclerc can do. Alex Albon into the pits. Guan Yu Zhou also into the pits. So only after 9 laps, medium tire runners are coming into the pits. I don't think there's any damage or anything, but the drivers are coming in for early pit stops. So we could have some high tire wear. I mean, track temperature is 35 degrees, air temperature 29 degrees. So it's slightly cooler than it was yesterday, but I mean, it's still pretty difficult on those tires, especially when you're going through sector one. I mean, even if you go extremely slowly, you're still going through corners at 150 miles an hour, which is very tough on those Pirelli tires that they've got fitted to their cars. Lewis Hamilton going fastest through the first sector. I don't know exactly why he's doing that, because there's really no need for him to push. But going through turn number 5 and 6, just let the car go, and set as the only purple mini sector on in the first sector, and ended up getting the fastest for one as well. So most of the drivers in tire conservation mode here, and yeah, that's why the other drivers had to come in so early. The drivers at the top conserving their tires, not pushing too hard, very much setting yellow sector times everywhere. And then we've got Alex Albon, Guan Yu Zhou, and Alex Albon and Guan Yu Zhou coming into the pits. Zhou out on the hards, Alex Albon out on the mediums once again. We'll have to just wait and see which strategy pays off for them. But Pirelli suggested medium, hard, and then medium once again for your third stint. We'll wait and see what works out for the teams. But this tire wear is higher than expected, so yeah, it will be interesting to see what's going on. All right, Bottas into pits, Tsunoda into pits, and Ricciardo into pits. 3 drivers, all of them head to tail while coming into the pits. So yeah, very interesting. We got some team radio here from Alex Albon. He has come into pits, so it might just be box, but let's have a listen anyway.
So we think Alonso ahead is managing. If we think we can stay with him, that'll be good for later on.
He's not managing. His tires are not very good. He's not good.
Right, yeah. So Alex Albon is saying that Fernando Alonso is not managing his tires; he's pushing rather hard. We will just have to wait and see what's going on there. But Fernando Alonso is, of course, on the hard tires. He's all 4 hard tire runners now from 10th place down to 13th place. And the hard tires now coming into their zone, where the mediums are slightly dropping off in terms of pace and the hards are picking up. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes for them. But Bottas, Tsunoda, and Ricciardo all out. Bottas out in 14th, Tsunoda out in 16th, and Ricciardo out in 18th. It's very, very close between all of those drivers here. All right. We got some team radio from Max Verstappen. Let's have a listen.
I'm struggling a lot with the wind out there.
Understood.
Okay, so yeah, Max Verstappen struggling with the wind. I mean, there's pretty windy conditions around this circuit, and the gust especially. Once you get an unexpected gust, your car can be thrown off anywhere, and it is very, very difficult to predict that. Of course, I mean, predicting the weather is hard enough. They can barely predict it right on the news. So yeah, predicting it for little gusts of winds on a part of an F1 circuit is practically impossible. We got Pierre Gasly into the pits on this lap. What happened to Carlos Sainz? He had a collision with George Russell at the start of the race. He had a puncture, probably got a bit more damage because of that puncture, and then ended up retiring from the race. We're on lap number 12 of 56. We've got nearly 6,000 people watching. If you guys haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. Hopefully you can hit 500 likes. We're currently on 350. And if you haven't subscribed as well, that would very much be appreciated. Hopefully we can hit 50k by the end of the season. That would be absolutely brilliant. Only got 4 races left to go. So yeah, I am commentating for the rest of them as well. So go ahead and subscribe. Well, we've got 3 races left to go after this race finishes. So yeah, it would be absolutely wonderful if you guys could hit that subscribe button. But getting back to the race, Pierre Gasly comes out of the pits on hard tyres in 13th position. So we've had 3 drivers come out on medium tyres after their pit stops, and we've had 4 drivers come out on hard tyres. So it's very much split strategy. It should make it interesting. But all of the drivers that are out on the hard tyres, they're struggling to get them into the correct window, because of course with these new 18-inch Pirelli tyres, what you've got to do is sort of nurse them and massage them into working conditions. You can't just go flat out, because if you do, that significantly reduces the tyre life of them. So we'll have to wait and see. But Lewis Hamilton, now the first of the front runners coming into the pit. So it was a 3.6 second gap between Verstappen and Hamilton when Hamilton came into the pits. Hamilton comes out, I think, in 7th position. It should be, yeah, it's pretty comfortable for him between himself and Lando Norris. but Hamilton now out on hard tyres. Mercedes following the predicted Pirelli strategy, and yeah. Did Leclerc pass Vettel? Yes, he did. In fact, I completely missed it. In fact, but yeah, Leclerc did pass Vettel. I will maybe try and find a replay if it does come up. But I suspect it would have just been an overtake into turn number 1 or 12. Vettel probably didn't fight it too hard, knowing that he isn't that much slower than the Ferrari. And if he can hold on, it's gonna definitely help out his race time. So yeah, he's just outside of DRS range of Charles Leclerc. If he can press a bit of that boost button, they got him to win the race at Suzuka against Fernando Alonso. Then he will probably get within the DRS range, and definitely help out the rest of his stint. Right, we've got some team radio from Lando Norris. He's in 8th position, and done 12 laps on his medium tyres. Let's have a listen.
Okay, Lando, purple default 5-5, purple default 5-5. Let's use his clean air now.
Right, well, I'm not a McLaren engineer, so I don't know exactly what purple default 5.5 means. But yeah, they're just switching around the settings. I suspect this will be something to do with well, he has clean air ahead of him, so he's going to get some nice cooling of his engine. And yeah, it's looking good there for Lando Norris. All right. Yes, Hamilton has come into the pits just a couple of laps ago. George Russell into the pits now as well. Verstappen also coming out of the pits as well. So both Russell and Verstappen pitting on the same lap. Hamilton got the undercut, and the gap previously was 3.6 seconds. Now the gap is now, what is it? It is 4.3 seconds. So the gap has been extended from 3.6 to 4.3. So the undercut hasn't worked out there for Lewis Hamilton. Of course, when you have to nurse those hard tyres into operating conditions, then yeah, the undercut is not as powerful as it previously was. We got Sergio Perez setting a purple first sector on his used medium tyres. Of course, we know Perez is brilliant at managing his tyres. And yeah, so on a used set of medium tyres, after most drivers have come into the pits due to high tyre wear, Perez out there setting purple sectors. So props there to Sergio Perez, doing a good job out on the track. Okay, we have some team radio from Alex Albon. Albon currently in 15th position. Let's have a listen.
Alex, we'd like to manage turn 6 a bit more if you can. Manage turn 6.
Yeah, I am. It's a win, guys. Come on.
Okay, manage turn number 6. So turn number 6 is, well, the first pretty major corner going through the S section. And yeah, Alex Albon saying the wind isn't in the correct direction. And I mean, considering that Formula One cars have enough downforce to drive upside down, when in the correct wind conditions, when going at sufficiently enough speed, yeah, it's a little gust of wind, probably like 20-30 kilometers an hour in the wrong direction, can really throw you off. And yeah, well, we've got Alex Albon complaining about the wind through turn number 6. And yeah, easterly west wind conditions. So going through turn number 6, you've got a tailwind, so that reduces your effective wind speed over your actual front and rear wing. So say if you're going 150 kilometers an hour and you've got a tailwind of 7 kilometers, then that reduces your wind speed to 143 and you get a lot less downforce. So Alex Albon suffering there through that corner. And I suspect all of the other drivers will be suffering as well. But yeah, there we go. All right. So Leclerc has also overtaken Lance Stroll. We got Perez into the pits as well now. He's out on hard tyres. So every driver opting to go for the hard tyres except for Alex Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, and Nicolas Latifi. We got George Russell with a purple middle sector. Very interesting indeed. I mean, let's have a look. Did he just get... I think he got a bit of a toe, maybe? Yeah, off Fernando Alonso ahead of him, going through the middle sector. That's why it's purple. And he'll be looking to make a move, in fact, on Fernando Alonso. But we will have to wait and see. So Perez now in 3rd position. Oh no, Perez, sorry, in 6th position. And we've got Stroll coming into the pits now. Vettel will probably come in next lap, but the Aston Martin's still going extremely strong, and hopefully they can go on and score some points. That would be brilliant to see, and maybe even a Vettel podium for his final podium of his career. That would be great. Also, guys, if you could hit the like button, that would very much be appreciated. We are, trying to hit 1,000 likes or so. We're currently on 500. That would be, if we could hit that, that would be wonderful. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, I do commentate all of the F1 quali sessions and race sessions. So yeah, if you're liking the commentary, and want to listen some more, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We got Lewis Hamilton fastest first sector on those hard tires after 3 laps of warming them up. So yeah, takes around about 3 laps or so to get those hard tires into working conditions. And then after that, they are pretty decent tires around this circuit, especially because it is such high speed corners. The hard tires is probably the optimal race tire, and we will probably be seeing medium hard to be the preferred strategy by the teams. They don't want to be risking those medium tires to potentially get a puncture or to just fall off a cliff. So yeah, all right. Lance Stroll comes into pits. He goes on to the medium tires. Interesting strategy choice there from Aston Martin. Maybe that is the way forward, because of course, once you get towards the end of the race, you get less fuel in your car. So if you do 2 stints on the mediums and then your final stint is on the hard tires, because you have less fuel, you end up putting less load through the tires, and hence making them last longer. So that might be the way forward, but according to all of the other teams, it doesn't seem to be worth it. So we'll wait and see what Vettel will do. Will he come in this lap? Actually, by the looks of it, he doesn't come in this lap. So Vettel staying out. Looks like he's managing his tires better than Lance Stroll is, which is to be expected, of course. Vettel did that brilliant drive in 2018 at Bahrain. He did, I think, 40 laps on soft tires. So yeah, Vettel definitely has got tire management skills, and he's showing them off today. We're doing 17 laps on those medium tires. All right. Lap number 17 of 56 here of the US Grand Prix. All right, so all the drivers have very much got into their own little gap, own little like part of the track. The only overtaking thing that we've got going on right now is Mick Schumacher potentially overtaking Esteban Ocon for 9th position. The gap between the two drivers, 7/10 of a second. So within DRS range, we'll wait and see what the Haas car can do. And the Alpine, and in fact, let's have a quick look at the top speeds that the drivers are hitting. But I have a slight feeling that let's have a look. In fact, the Alpine is slightly quicker going down the straights compared to the Haas. So yeah, it might be a bit tough there for Mick Schumacher to make it through to overtake him, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, if Ocon does make a mistake, then he will end up very much at the mercy of Mick Schumacher to who gets to keep that 9th position, who doesn't. We got Pierre Gasly overtaking Kevin Magnussen. So now Gasly up into 11th place. He started down in the bottom 5, made some pretty good progress up through the field. Now he's up into 11th place. Good job there from the Frenchman. Of course, he's signed the deal now with Alpine, driving for the French manufacturer next year. So the French manufacturer have got 2 French drivers, which is great PR. We've got a yellow flag on the circuit. Bottas has lost 2 positions. Why have we got a yellow flag? Bottas is stopped on the exit of turn number 19. Right, so let's put the yellow flag out on track. I don't think there is a marshal post there. He's quite close to the pit lane, so the marshals could just push him through the pit lane. But yeah, Valtteri Bottas stopped between turn number 19 and turn number 20. We got a yellow flag on the track. Sainz is out because he had a puncture at the start of the race, and then Ferrari tied him. So Sainz is out. And we've got a full safety car, guys. Full safety car out on the circuit because of Lance Stroll. So yeah, good to see this. I mean, this is definitely going to play into the hands of the drivers that haven't pitted. Charles Leclerc is going to get a free pit stop. So is Sebastian Vettel. Oh, Vettel's going to get a free pit stop. We could see a Vettel podium. I mean, it's pretty high hopes there for a Vettel podium, but he is getting free pit stops. So are all the drivers under the hards if they choose to come into the pits Might not be the way forward, but we will have to wait and see. All right. Right, let's just pin this message because everyone has been asking why why Carlos Sainz is out. But yeah, we've got Max Verstappen leading the way. Leclerc into the pits, so is Vettel. Let's see, does Fernando Alonso come into the pits? Yes, he does. Next of the hard tyre runners, the drivers who haven't pit yet, we've got Ocon, Schumacher, and Magnussen. Who decides to come into pits and who does not? Right, we've got Esteban Ocon. Looks like he is into the pits as well. So is Mick Schumacher. And then if a Haas can double stack, I don't think they can yet. So Haas. Oh, we've got a red flag. Why have we got a red flag? Oh no, we haven't got a red flag. Ignore that. The thing is glitching out a bit. Yeah, so still under safety car conditions, and we have got Max Verstappen behind the safety car leading the way, and we've had Leclerc up in fourth place now after that free pit stop, and Vettel up in sixth place. Fernando Alonso out in ninth, Ocon, Schumacher in 12th and 13th. We got Magnussen and Albon in 15th, 16th. Latifi into the pits as well. And Valtteri Bottas is out of the race. Yeah, Bottas spun. Looks like Bottas spun, and yeah. F1 Gamer, are you better now? Yes, I am feeling better. My voice, my throat is slightly off, but it all looks to be pretty good now. Yeah, thank you for asking. Bottas spun and then looks like his engine switched off or some sort of issue, which means he couldn't get restarted. So there we are. Lap number 19 of 56, and we've got we've got a safety car out because of Valtteri Bottas' incident. So we've got two retirees, Valtteri Bottas and Carlos Sainz. 18 drivers still in the running. All now will be queuing up behind the safety car. And yeah. Also, guys, if you haven't hit the like button or if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. Very much does help out the channel. And yeah, it would be wonderful to hit 50k by the end of the season. All right. Science retired not because of the puncture, but because of the damage. Okay, I see. Fair enough then. I think because of contact with Russell and yeah, okay. So we got damage to the radiator, and that was why he's out. Okay, thanks for confirming. Well, thanks for giving me the info, not confirming. But yeah. All right. So now here we are. Nearly 1/3, well, past the 1/3 point of the race. We've got Yuki Tsunoda over the radio. Let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
Close to zero, you have 1.5 seconds.
You don't have to command me, please.
Copy.
Yep, so it's Yuki Tsunoda just talking about the Delta. Of course, when the safety car comes out, the drivers get a speed limit that they have to stick to. And of course, it's as fast as possible to stick right to the speed limit and exactly to it. But you got to pay attention because if you do go above it, even slightly, you end up getting a penalty from the FIA. So there we go. We got some team radio from Valtteri Bottas. This is when he retired. So let's have a listen to why he did retire.
Just lost the back end. Okay, copy.
Oh, lost the back end. He spun around and then I think he hit the barrier at turn number 19. So yeah, not ideal there for Valtteri Bottas. The thing is, around this circuit, the fastest car setup is when you have a car that has a lot of grip on the front, and then you kind of have to just hope that the rear sticks. You got to manage the rear really. And yeah, it's extremely tough doing that for 56 laps of racing. You got to have utmost focus at pretty much every corner. Otherwise, a tiny little gust of wind or a little snap here and there can mean that you are in the barrier. So yeah, Bottas is getting caught out, and that is why we have a safety car. All right. So all the drivers now queued up behind the safety car. We will find out when the safety car is coming in very, very shortly. But yes, I'm just doing a quick refresh of the data on the left. So if it does go blank, that is why. There we go. All right. Ooh. There we are. Right. Cool. All right. Yeah, looks like we're not coming in this lap because the safety car would have, of course, come into the pits. So we're doing another lap behind the safety car. All of the drivers that did come into the pits, of course, they will have great conditions to do their tire warm procedures. But we've got both Aston Martins out on another set of mediums. We've got both Aston Martins, Yuki Tsunoda, and that's it really. Everyone else has decided to go out on the hard tires. We've got those two Aston Martins and Yuki Tsunoda doing two stints on the medium tires consecutively. So yeah, interesting choice of strategy. We'll have to wait and see if it does play out. But the laps behind the safety car definitely do mean you can massage these tires into their working window. Hence meaning that they will end up lasting longer for the rest of the stint. What will happen to the channel after the season? Well, I think I might make some videos during the off season. I will have to wait and see. But then I will obviously be commentating for the season after. But yeah, that is a long time away. So yeah. Also, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. Definitely does help out the channel. And if you haven't subscribed either, that would be wonderful. Because we're getting pretty close to 50k, getting closer and closer every stream. So yeah, there we are. All right. So back to the race. Drivers just driving around under safety car conditions. I think we'll be doing another lap or so. They might be inspecting the barrier, of course, because yeah, turn number 19, a pretty high speed corner. So if you do end up losing the car and going into the barrier, there is potential for barrier damage. And yeah, they will be inspecting the barrier to make sure it's all right before we go doing some racing. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a safety car restart this lap. Safety car coming in, and then yeah, drivers will be doing the restart. So we've got Max Verstappen leading the way. He can choose when to go. But here we are. There is a penalty for George Russell. There, he got a 5-second time penalty for that collision with Sainz at the start of the race. But yeah, we will be going now green flag racing, safety car into the pits. We got Max Verstappen now leading the way out of turn number 19 and 20. We'll wait and see when he decides to press that accelerator pedal. But the new safety car rules means you have to be at least side by side up to the start and finish line. So we got Verstappen out of turn number 20. Then we got Lewis Hamilton behind him. And all the drivers single file now going down the long straight up the hill into the braking zone. And it looks like we're going to get a little bit of an overtake from Fernando Alonso on Pierre Gasly. Decides, oh, and there he goes. Fernando Alonso overtakes Pierre Gasly down the inside. Gasly looks a bit surprised, in fact. Wasn't expecting Fernando Alonso to dive down the inside. But there we go. Alonso up into 8th, Tsunoda into 10th. And Alpine into the points, and McLaren still outside of them. So that gap that we've got in the Constructors' Championship is just going to get even bigger. So let's have a look. In the Constructors' Championship, we have got the Alpine team on. Let's see, it's just loading up. But anyway, back on track. We've got Magnussen overtaking Guan Yu Zhou, Schumacher overtaking Esteban Ocon. So of course the drivers on the medium tires gaining more positions, and we've got a yellow flag. Lance Stroll has stopped halfway down this track. Must be some sort of engine issue because I don't think he was doing too much racing, but yellow flag out on the track now. And we're in the safety car conditions again. Yeah, right. Safety car has been called, and we've got Lance Stroll stopped on the side of the track. So yeah, there we go. All of the drivers out on the medium tires, they are just cruising around. Their tires are going to last them a very long time indeed. But yeah, there we go. Safety car was needed once again because of Lance Stroll's stopping on the side of the straight. I mean, I think having a safety car is pretty important there, mainly because of the fact that Lance Stroll will be, well, at that part of the track, the drivers go 300 kilometers an hour, and Lance Stroll will be going at 0. So if there's any sort of incident, um, then you don't want that big of a speed difference. So having a safety car will be a good bet. All right. Fernando Alonso down 5 places. I think he might have something to do with that contact with Stroll. But yeah, we will have to wait and see. I mean, I think Alonso's quite a bit further down, but yeah, all right. Oh, Alonso has crashed. Okay. Alonso spun out, I think, or had some sort of incident, and then Stroll got taken out by Alonso. That's why Alonso's down into the pits now, probably getting a front wing replacement, and the team assessing the damage. And we've got, yeah, Lance Stroll completely out of the race because of Fernando Alonso's crash. All right, 2 safety cars now. In the past 8 years of racing here, we've only had 1 safety car, but here we are now with. Oh no, sorry, past 7 years of racing, we've only had 1 safety car here. But now here we are with 2. All right. Yeah, the safety car definitely getting in their practice and their money's worth. I think I don't actually know which safety car it is. But yeah, safety car now just driving around once again, going extremely slow down the straight because of, well, the crash that was caused halfway down the straight. But yeah. Yeah, Fernando Alonso having pretty big damage to his front wing. Um, he's out on a set of hard tires now, and Lance Stroll comfortably out of the car. We've got the Aston Martin safety car driving around. Um, there looks like some pretty. It was a pretty serious crash. The tire ripped off the sidewall. So basically, what happened was Fernando Alonso on the back of Lance Stroll going down the long back straight. He goes to the left. So does Lance Stroll as well. Fernando Alonso, of course, goes. Fernando Alonso gets lifted up into the air. Stroll gets a massive punch and gets spun around. So basically, what happened was Fernando Alonso turned left to overtake Lance Stroll, and Lance Stroll turned left to defend against Fernando Alonso. So both of them ended up turning left, and yeah, that's why we got contact. Not ideal whatsoever. Stroll, though, not hitting a barrier, just getting a pretty big puncture. So if we get some team radio, I will play that. But miraculously, no contact with the barrier there. We've got some team radio both from Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, so let's just have a listen.
I crashed.
Okay, Lance, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yep, there we go. And then we have team radio from Fernando Alonso.
You okay?
Yes, mate. Very late, boss.
Yeah, I mean, Fernando Alonso said it correctly. Very late move indeed. So when you are defending against another driver, you have to, of course, consider the fact that they have a reaction time. And when you're traveling at 200 miles an hour, it is very easy to end up crashing into each other. So you've got to give the other driver some allowance. I'm going to start defending on the left hand side, and this is my racing line. But yeah, Lance Stroll turned a bit too late, and that's why we had some contact between Stroll and Alonso. All right. Yeah. So that's currently what's going. That's currently the reason of contact. Of course, we've actually seen that Lance Stroll really doesn't look in his mirrors very often. We've seen multiple times in practice sessions and in races where he doesn't use his mirrors very much. So he probably didn't see how close Fernando Alonso was. But also when you are driving along, I think if you guys are drivers and you have seen in your wing mirrors, it says like objects in mirrors look further away than they actually are. That might be the case of what happened to Lance Stroll. The mirrors just showed that Fernando Alonso was a lot further back than he actually was, and he ended up making a turn to the left when he shouldn't have. So there we go. All right. Safety car not in this lap. It's going to take a while to clear up all that debris. There is basically a diffuser, wall, and tire and everything there from Lance Stroll's car. It's basically in half Lance Stroll's car. Well, not in half as in cut in half, but most of the parts have flown all over the track. So it's going to take a while for the marshals to clear everything up. And yeah. All right, we're reaching the halfway point of the race now. And yeah, it's been a pretty eventful race. In fact, very interesting. Of course, right at the start, we had Sainz getting contact with George Russell, and that's why he's out of the race. But yeah, so there we go. We've got 3 retirees: Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, and Carlos Sainz out of today's race. And yeah, the driver's still just driving around under safety car conditions. If we have any more team radio, I will play that. All of the drivers going extremely slowly down the middle, down the back straight. Firstly, they don't want any debris hitting them, and then the other thing is that the marshals are on the side of the track with the tractor. And yeah, well, a tractor on the circuit is not a great way to end your race. Right, we've got some team radio from Seb Vettel. Let's have a listen what he's got to say.
Okay, the debris didn't look too bad there. They get rid of the main pieces. I think the wind will take care of the rest. Copy, smashing, copy.
Yep, so Vettel just hoping for a just a safety car, no red flag, because the debris really isn't that severe. And now they've picked up Lance Stroll's car, and they've got it on the tractor on the way off the track. So the drivers should be good to go, probably on this lap or either on this lap or the next. But yeah, Vettel should be a permanent chief steward. Well, I definitely think Vettel will do a great job, but I think he's retiring because he wants to spend more time with his family and doing other things other than Formula One. But of course, when you do retire, you do want to end up going back to what you did previously. We've seen this. Nico Rosberg retired at the end of 2016, but here he is as a Sky Sports commentator. Same for Jenson Button, Martin Brundle, Karen Chandok, all of the XF1, all of the commentators have at least taken some sort of part in Formula One, except for David Croft, of course. We're 2 subscribers away from 47k. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so. And yeah, it's looking good. All right. We've got some team radio here from Sergio Perez. He's in 3rd position. He'll be looking to overtake Lewis Hamilton. Of course, the Red Bull is the faster car. Let's see what his team radio has got to say.
Checo, what's your thoughts? Medium versus hard? Medium versus hard?
Yeah, front hard bit on the medium.
Okay, so Sergio Perez hard on the mediums. We know that Perez can do some very good tire management indeed. So yeah, he should be all right going through on the medium tires. Let's have a quick look. So everyone is on hard tires except for Vettel, who's on a set of mediums. Tsunoda's on mediums. Schumacher and Magnussen also on mediums. So the 2 Hasses, Vettel and Tsunoda, out on medium tires. We've got the safety car coming in. We're on green flag running, and Max Verstappen leading the way on this second safety car restart of the US Grand Prix. We've just hit 47k, so very much is appreciated, everyone that has subscribed to the channel. And hopefully now 3 races left to go after this one, and 3,000 subscribers to gain to 50k. That would be absolutely fantastic if we could hit that. But let's get back to this race now. We've got Verstappen leading the way. No overtakes into turn number 1. We did get very close. In fact, Magnussen gets a very good exit on the exit of turn number 1, and then gets past Esteban Ocon into the S section. So now it's the 2 Haas drivers in 10th and 11th. Hopefully they can go a couple of points further up, a couple of positions further up, and score some points on their home race. All right. Also now since Fernando Alonso did have that massive incident, and he's further down, Alpine are no longer in the points. We got Lando Norris up in 8th position. Oh, sorry, 9th position. But Alpine currently 13 points ahead, and those 2 points that Lando Norris is going to score is going to bring that down to 11. We'll wait and see what happens there at that constructors' battle between those drivers. We got Verstappen with the fastest middle sector, even though he's on the hard tyres. We will have to wait and see how that goes for him. All right. So here we go now. We are approaching now the halfway point of this race. 2 more laps, we're at the halfway point. But yeah, DRS will be enabled on the next lap, 2 laps after the safety car comes in. But everyone has completed at least one pit stop, and the drivers from 14th to 17th have completed 2 pit stops. Right, so looking at this, we've got Verstappen fastest through the middle sector, Hamilton fastest through the third sector, but still the overall lap time difference is half a second between the two world champions. So yeah, not looking good there for Mercedes. I mean, they've brought upgrades and they're very fast indeed. But yeah, still nowhere near the performance of the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. We've got Charles Leclerc in 4th place. Actually, he's putting quite a bit of pressure on Sergio Perez. Perez should ideally be looking forwards, trying to overtake Lewis Hamilton, but he is rather now looking back in his mirrors, trying to defend against against Charles Leclerc. Of course, Leclerc got the free pit stop under the safety car, so he's got literally 0 tire wear on his tires, other than the safety car running, of course. So Leclerc getting extremely close to the back of Sergio Perez. In fact, now 4/10 of a second going down this straight. No move into turn number 12, but the intent is definitely there. Leclerc will be looking to get that 3rd place position off Sergio Perez. Also, guys, it's been like an hour since we've been watching this race. Remember to stay hydrated; it is very important. And yeah. All right. We got Verstappen with the fastest lap of the race, 3/10 faster than Lewis Hamilton's lap. Also, there's an incident between Pierre Gasly being more than 10 car lengths behind the safety car. So, yeah, that incident will be investigated at the end of the race. And also the incident between uh, Alonso and Stroll will also be investigated at the end of the race as well. So there we go. Max Verstappen accidentally clicked the drivability switch. He was in the wrong mode. He needs to go into Strat 2. I know Strat 7 is the fast push mode for Red Bull. He's currently in Strat 2, so should just very much be in the tire conserving mode. He's got half the race left now, and he's done 14 laps on those hard tires, many of them behind the safety car, so he should be good to go, at least for another 10-15 laps or so, towards the end of this race. All right. Once again, Hamilton fastest through the first sector. Verstappen fastest through the second by half a second, mind you. I mean, look at that top speed difference between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. Absolutely staggering. Half a second through the middle sector is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, Red Bull doing a good job there. We have now Charles Leclerc getting closer and closer to Sergio Perez. Now he's going through turn number 19 and 20. The dirty air will really be hitting him here through these 2 corners. But we'll have to wait and see, can he hold on, and how much longer can he hold on for? Because eventually that dirty air will be giving you some overheating issues on your engine and tire side, and then your battery will be starting to get depleted as well. Yeah. All right. So let's have a look. Leclerc has just come over the radio and said they are so quick down the straights, and they referring to the Red Bulls, Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen having absolute rocket ships going down the straights, 325 kilometers an hour, the fastest of all of the teams, bar the Williams, who are also at 325 kilometers an hour. So yeah, the Williams, as we know, they've had the highest top speed every single weekend actually down the straights. Has Nicholas Latifi. But yeah, here we are with Red Bull matching Williams in terms of top speed. So that's very interesting indeed. All right, we've got some team radio from Lando Norris, who's currently in 9th position. Let's have a listen.
can use overtake to close the gap if you want.
Yep, overtake to close the gap. The issue now is that Lando Norris is now in the DRS train. He's got Gasly, Tsunoda, himself, and Schumacher all in one train now. And when you're in the middle of a DRS train, making any sort of move is extremely tough. The easiest move once you are in a DRS train is either to catch up to the back of it or to be the driver who's second in the DRS train and overtaking the driver that has no DRS. But yeah, Lando Norris will have a pretty tough time. And of course, Yuki Tsunoda is on those medium tires, so he has extra pace through the corners as well. In the next couple of laps, the hard tires will start to get faster than the mediums, but Yuki Tsunoda, for the foreseeable future, will still be staying ahead of Lando Norris. We've got Max Verstappen setting another fastest lap of the race. He's just chipping away at those lap times. And 1 minute 41.0, 4 seconds slower than quali yesterday. But indeed, very fast considering he's got an extra 50 kilos of fuel in his car. We've got Leclerc fastest through the first sector, trying to pick up the pace now to try and catch up to Sergio Perez. Half a second is the gap. It's getting closer and closer, in fact. And this might be his opportunity, 6/10 of a second. If he can get a little bit of a slingshot and slipstream down this long straight, then he could be pretty good for a move into turn number 12. So here he comes, 2/10 of a second, a 20 km/h speed difference between the two drivers, and he backs off. Oh, in fact, he doesn't back off. He just goes down the inside at turn number 12. He looks like he went a bit deep. Sergio Perez might be able to fight it through the next couple of corners. But Leclerc placing his car very nicely indeed through turn number 15. If Perez can't get a good exit out of here, it will be game over for him. And no, he does not. He doesn't get a great exit, and Charles Leclerc pulling away now, 7/10 of a second in 3 corners. So the Ferrari looking rather fast. And of course, Leclerc got 4-lap pressure tires compared to Sergio Perez as well. Perez looks to be going for the next set of tires for Sergio Perez are going to be medium tires, so he's going to have to conserve his hards, go for probably another 5-6 more laps, and that's why I don't think he'll be fighting against Charles Leclerc anymore. So Leclerc now up into the 3rd place spot. We've got Hamilton in second, 3.5 seconds up the road from Charles Leclerc. And the gap, in fact, the pace difference, between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen is actually very, very close. Hamilton being able to match Max Verstappen throughout this stint after the safety car. So that's very interesting. The Mercedes, they weren't so quick in qualifying conditions, but maybe their optimizations to the car really come into their own in the race, and we could be able to see potentially Hamilton challenging maybe for a win the next race. This race, it might be pretty difficult considering Verstappen's got a 2-second advantage, and he is driving along comfortably in his RB18. All right, so that is that. What else is going on the circuit? We've still got now we've got a 4-place battle for driver battle, for 7th place. We've got an inter-team battle between AlphaTauris. We've got Gasly trying to overtake, Tsunoda trying to overtake Gasly going down the straights. We'll have to wait and see, are there any team orders there? Because Tsunoda is on the medium tires, he is going to end up being faster. So there we go. What else have we got going on? Fernando Alonso overtakes Daniel Ricciardo. Pretty straightforward maneuver for Fernando Alonso. He's got 12-lap pressure hard tires, so it'll be very simple overtake there for him, and he'll be looking to make his way up through the field. But it's going to be a pretty tough job to do to go up to where he was before. He was up in eighth position before. He's currently in 14th, 6 places to gain. And there is a lot of tough competition. Of course, he's got his teammate, which should be fine. But the Haas cars, and especially Lando Norris, will not be giving up easily. Yeah. Ooh, also, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It definitely does help out the channel. We're getting pretty close to now 1,000 likes. 853 right now, so 150 more likes, and we could be on our way to 1,000. So there we are. And if you haven't subscribed as well, be sure to do so. Trying to hit 50k by the end of the year, so if we could do that, that would be incredible. All right. Right, now we have George Russell on the back of Sergio Perez. So Perez now, he's lost the position to Leclerc like 2 laps ago, and Russell is now on his tail. Um, so we'll wait and see what happens there. Red Bull, of course, only have to score 26 points this season. Not this season, this race. If they do want to seal the deal for the Constructors' Championship. And if it goes this way, Max Verstappen will be getting all 26 points for winning the race and getting fastest lap. So it's looking good for Red Bull to seal the deal on the Constructors' Championship at the US Grand Prix. All right. We've got 24 laps remaining. Oh no, sorry. 23 laps remaining of this race here. And yeah. What does Hamilton need to win this race? Well, I suspect he's going to need a mistake from Verstappen. In fact, Hamilton's actually closing up to Verstappen. The gap previously was 2 and a bit seconds. Now it's down to 1.5 seconds. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. But Hamilton being able to catch up to Verstappen, I mean, this was very much what it was like at the end of last year's race at the US Grand Prix. It was a very intense race indeed. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton doing a great job catching up to Max Verstappen. We'll wait and see how that goes towards the end of the race, though. Be interesting to see, can he keep that going on the next stint when he switches back onto the medium tires, or is the Mercedes only good on the hards? Yeah. All right. What else have we going on? What have we got going on the circuit? We got Pierre Gasly coming in for his second pit stop. So he's down from 7th place all the way to 17th after that pit stop. That just shows you how close together the field is. From 20th place, from 7th place all the way down to 14th. So 10 places, it's only oh no, 7 places, sorry, it's only 12 seconds is the gap. So all of the drivers fairly close together, and a pit stop will lose you a lot of position. So Tsunoda and Schumacher come into the pits on this lap. And yeah. Hamilton now closing up once again on Max Verstappen. Let's get a quick comparison between Hamilton and Verstappen. So through the first sector, Max Verstappen is faster. I'm guessing through the second sector, Max Verstappen is probably faster as well, because he has got the higher top speed, but we will have to wait and see what happens to him. So we're just comparing the lap times here, and through the middle sector, it looks like Max Verstappen is once again faster. He'll probably be told to pick up the pace a bit, because yeah, you don't want Lewis Hamilton getting too close when you're trying to win a race. Lando Norris is carrying some damage because he's run over some debris after between the collision of Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. So yeah, that's not ideal there for Lando Norris. He's currently in 7th position. Very good job indeed. But he hasn't pit, of course. We got Tsunoda and Schumacher into the pits now. Also, an update: Pierre Gasly has been given a 5-second time penalty for the safety car infringement. He went more than 10 car lengths behind the car in front, and that is why he has been given a 5-second time penalty. We've got Lewis Hamilton into the pits now. So is Lando Norris. Yeah. All right. So back at the front, we got Max Verstappen with a fastest first sector. So I suspect what's going to happen here is that Max Verstappen just is going to pull away now. Hamilton's coming into the pits. for a fresh set of hard tyres. We've got 21 laps remaining of this race, so Hamilton should be able to get to the end of the race on those hard tyres. But Max Verstappen coming over the radio saying, it's hurting my drivability, these strat changes. So, yeah, it's not looking good there for Max Verstappen. He's now going to be pushing very hard on those hard tyres. But these strategy changes, basically what they do is they change your brake balance, they change your engine mapping settings and everything. So you have to adapt to a slightly different car through every single corner. And when you're driving on the limit, slightly different could be the difference between spinning off and going significantly slower. So yeah, it's interesting. And also looking at this, Max Verstappen goes fastest through the first sector, Hamilton fastest through the middle sector. So we could see a little bit of an issue here when Verstappen comes out of the pits. So Verstappen's into the pits now, Hamilton rounding out of the final corner. And I suspect it's going to be very close between the two drivers coming out of the pits. Leclerc's also into the pits on this lap. Hamilton fastest through the second and third sector. And where does Verstappen come out? Verstappen comes out. Where is he? Has he got like some sort of issue through the pits or something? Verstappen's outside behind Hamilton. Hamilton is in the net lead of this race. That is not expected whatsoever. But of course now Leclerc and Verstappen have both got medium tyres. Verstappen, in fact, looks like he had pit stop issues. Got a very slow pit stop out of the Red Bull team. Very unusual. And he is down now behind Hamilton and behind Leclerc. So he's got it all to do now. Otherwise, he will end up, not winning this race, and that's not what he's hoping for, of course. After leading for so long, so Red Bull having a pretty big issue. We've got some team radio from Max Verstappen. Let's have a listen. I suspect it'll just be box, but let's have a listen anyway.
Okay, Hamilton is in pit lane, Max. You are free to push.
Yeah, so that was before he came into the pits, but now Hamilton out on a warmed up set of hard tyres will be definitely doing his absolute best to now just maximize this gap as much as he possibly can. Verstappen needs to get past Leclerc ASAP, otherwise catching up to Hamilton will be extremely difficult. The gap currently between Leclerc and Hamilton between Verstappen and Hamilton is 7 seconds. Verstappen will have to overtake Leclerc as soon as he can, and then we'll be able to see. In fact, there he goes. He overtakes Leclerc. Oh no, he hasn't. He hasn't overtaken Leclerc. The GPS is slightly broken for some reason. So here he goes down the start-finish straight. Max Verstappen on the tail of Charles Leclerc. Got the slipstream and the DRS. Look at this. So George Russell is also out of the pits. He's outside behind of the rest of the drivers. But Verstappen getting extremely close to Charles Leclerc, but it's not close enough to make an overtake. So that gap is getting bigger and bigger. In fact, Leclerc's pace is in fact very good as well. He's setting purple second and third sectors, purple first sector once again. Verstappen takes that away from him, but Leclerc is no slouch. So Verstappen isn't losing too much net time to Lewis Hamilton. The gap previously was 7 seconds. Now it's down to 6.1. So it should be fine as long as Leclerc's pace doesn't slow down too much. But I suspect if it does, then Verstappen will be making a move pretty promptly on Charles Leclerc. So Hamilton now with the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 40.3. And we've got Max Verstappen on a 26.8 first sector. Going down into turn number 12, still not close enough to make an overtake on Charles Leclerc. Of course, we had Verstappen with the massive top speed advantage, but Leclerc's just fresh out of the pits. Probably has quite a significantly recharged battery. And we'll wait and see what he can do there. All right, we've got some team radio here from George Russell. He's in 6th position now. Let's have a listen.
Tyres are good. So box, you're doing the opposite to Paris. You're doing the opposite.
All right, Max Verstappen with a fastest lap of the race now, 0.3 of a second behind Charles Leclerc. Can he make an overtake into turn number 1? No, he cannot. He gets extremely close. He gets a very good exit out of turn number 1 as well. He's basically pushing Leclerc through these high-speed corners, but no sign of being able to overtake him. He's got now probably turn number 11 is his best bet, or turn number 12. Turn number 11 would be a very surprising move But maybe that's exactly what he needs if he wants to get past Leclerc, because Leclerc is defending this place because it is for position. If he can hold off Max Verstappen till the end of this race, then he will get more points than him. So yeah, Leclerc will be defending this pretty hard. We'll wait and see what Verstappen can do, though. Yeah. And still, though, even though Leclerc and Verstappen are having a little bit of a battle, both of them are gaining on Hamilton. On the previous lap, they gained 1 second on Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah, it'll be a matter of time before these drivers now catch up to him. And then we have a three-way battle for third position, which will be absolutely wonderful to see. But for now, Verstappen still applying a lot of pressure on the back of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc will probably be depleting his battery, trying to keep Verstappen behind, and Verstappen will be overheating his tyres. And yeah. All right, we have some team radio as well from Verstappen after his horrible pit stop, so let's have a listen.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, quite a bit of sarcasm there from Max Verstappen. Losing out, of course, to Charles Leclerc. So yeah, he's not going to be happy about that. Perez comes out in 5th position. We've got Vettel in the lead of this race. We have Sebastian Vettel leading the US Grand Prix. Absolutely wonderful. If he can stay there for a lap, then he'll have 1 lap led in the 2022 season. So that'll be great to see. But if it could just stay that way, of course he has to pit, because otherwise if he doesn't pit, he's not going to meet the FIA pit stop rules. But yeah, Vettel in the lead of this race, brilliant to see. 1.8 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton. All right, we got Verstappen now 0.4 of a second behind Charles Leclerc at the start of the straight. This is the closest he's been after the pit stops. And here he goes. He's got the DRS. He's got the slipstream on the back of Charles Leclerc. Looks to the inside, goes down the inside. And yeah, going through to turn number 12. Has very much comfortably completed the move. Leclerc really can't do much to fight back. The top speed of the Red Bull is way too much for him. So now Verstappen on his way to hunt down Lewis Hamilton. 4 seconds is the gap between the two drivers, and we have 17 laps of racing left. Also, guys, we're 25 likes away from 1,000 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And if you haven't subscribed as well, that would be wonderful to see. Trying to hit 50k by the end of the year. And yeah, every subscription is going to get us 1 step closer. So that would be wonderful if you could hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. All right. Leclerc still, though, staying on the back of Max Verstappen. He might give him a bit of trouble going down the next couple of corners. But I suspect Leclerc already knows that the Red Bull car is slightly faster in race conditions, and there's no point really fighting too much. Because the thing is, Leclerc has enough pace to stay on the back of Max Verstappen's car, so he might as well just stick behind Verstappen's car and then use Verstappen to catch up to Hamilton. And then after Verstappen overtakes Hamilton, or if he can overtake Hamilton, then we will see. Then we'll see from there what will happen. But Vettel now under pressure from Lewis Hamilton. He's definitely not going to fight this one. But Vettel in the lead of this race. Probably going to be getting overtaken by Hamilton down this straight. 9/10 is the gap going down the straight. He's got the DRS, has Lewis Hamilton. And he's got 17 lap pressure tyres, so it will be very much of an easy overtake into turn number 12. But Vettel's got enough of a gap that he can maintain it through there. So turn number 1 will be the next overtaking opportunity for Lewis Hamilton. And the gap, in fact, now getting closer and closer. 4 seconds now between Hamilton and Verstappen. So yeah, also Verstappen is on those medium tyres, which are faster than the hards by 0.6 of a second per lap. So yeah, it's looking good for Max Verstappen. He's got 16 laps to pull off this overtake. But yeah. Okay. So what else have we got going on? Vettel just been overtaken by Lewis Hamilton now. So Vettel down in 2nd place. But the gap still between Verstappen and Hamilton, 4 seconds. And looking at the lap times, Verstappen gained 1 second on the previous lap. I think that's because Vettel was holding up Lewis Hamilton a bit. But we'll have to wait and see. In fact, we can compare Verstappen and Hamilton's lap times. So let's have a comparison. We got Hamilton faster through the first sector, and then we'll be able to compare them going through the middle and third sector. So for you guys that haven't seen this data before, basically the light blue part of the track will be where Lewis Hamilton's faster. The dark blue part will be where Verstappen's faster. And yeah, we can just see which part of the track is the Red Bull faster, which part is the Mercedes faster. All right, yeah, Leclerc once again just holding on to the back of Max Verstappen. So he's doing a good job. They're doing exactly what he needs to do if he wants to have any sort of hope of getting second place. Because yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I mean Leclerc qualified in second place. He deserves to have that second place. So we'll wait and see what he can do. But this is the correct strategy. Just to stick behind Verstappen, use him as a bit of a tow. And yeah. All right. Vettel now into the pits. We've got 15 laps left, so maybe he comes out on the soft tires. I mean, the soft tires might be a bit of a bad bet. But we'll wait and see where does he come out. Hopefully, probably in 6th position, I think. The gap between Russell and Magnussen is quite large. Okay, so through the first and third sectors, the Mercedes is faster. Through the middle sector, the Red Bull is faster. But the Red Bull is so much faster through the middle sector that the gap that previously was 4 seconds is down to 3.5. So yeah, it's looking good there for Max Verstappen. Vettel comes out in which position? He comes out in 13th. I mean, he must have had a horrible pit stop if he's come out in 13th place. I will try and see what happened to Vettel's pit stop, but yeah, 13th place is not. He should have come out in 7th by the looks of it. So, yeah, very strange, very strange. All right. Also, if you haven't hit the like button or subscribed, be sure to do so. Helps out the channel, and yeah, the more likes we get, the YouTube algorithm thinks the stream's better. And then yeah, we get the more people watching, and the more the merrier. Yeah. Okie dokes. So that's what's happened there. Vettel, what tires does he come out on? He comes out on hard tires. So he's only got 15 laps. He's only going to do 15 laps on those hard tires after doing like 20 or so laps on the mediums. Of course, most of the stuff was in safety cars, but Vettel got a pretty bad pit stop. I mean, let's have a look. How long was his pit stop? But yeah, it was very, very slow indeed. Perez with the fastest third sector, and the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen down to 3.2 seconds. Extremely slow pit stop. His front left tire literally wasn't coming off. We saw the same for it wasn't going on, sorry. But we saw the same for Max Verstappen, issues with the front left, and yeah, pretty tough. I think it might be because of the front left tire really takes a toll. Yeah, this circuit takes a toll on the front left tire. So there must be some sort of issue where if you put too much load on the front left tire again and again and again, it sort of wears out the wheel hub or something, and causing you to have issues during the pit stops. That's the only thing that I can really think of that could be causing that. But yeah. All right. So Lando Norris up into 10th place, overtakes Guan Yu Zhou, and Vettel unfortunately in 13th. Yeah. Also, guys, you can now vote for driver of the day. I don't know who you should vote for driver of the day. I would just vote Vettel because he was leading the race. But I am also a Vettel fan, so I'm slightly biased there. But yeah, I don't know who should you vote for. Who is your driver of the day? Let me know in the chat. And yeah. All right, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen 2.8 seconds now. So those medium tires will be. Well, actually, it should be, I think, around about lap number 13 or 14 when the medium tires start to become slower than the hard tires. So Verstappen hasn't got too long before his tires are basically on the equal performance as Lewis Hamilton, which should make overtaking quite a bit harder. So he's got a 2.5 second gap to close as soon as possible. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what he can do. We've got what 12 laps remaining of this race, and a battle for the lead brewing up, and potentially a three-way battle for the lead because Leclerc. Ooh, just as I say that, Leclerc drops out of DRS range, but if he can press the overtake button, get back into it, then we could be on our way for a three-way battle for the lead of this race. We saw this back in 2018. It was Kimi Raikkonen, Lewis Hamilton, and Max Verstappen all within a second or so of each other going for the lead of the race. Of course, Kimi Raikkonen went on to win the race in 2018. So there we are. Right, the gap down to 2.2 seconds. And overall on the previous lap, Max Verstappen going 6/10 of a second faster than Lewis Hamilton. Right, let's get that comparison up again between who's faster through which section. And look at that, Verstappen faster through the first sector, he's faster through the second sector. And traditionally, we've seen the Mercedes be fastest through the third sector. We've seen it as George Russell, we've seen it with Lewis Hamilton. Let's see if that still carries on, or is Verstappen really just picked up the pace here? Yeah, no. Through the third sector, we've still got the Mercedes being the dominant car, just having that low speed performance. So they're able to go faster through the third sector, but it's still pretty tough for the rest of the lap because the Red Bull is faster everywhere else. Okie dokes. 11 laps remaining. We've got Nicholas Latifi with a 5-second time penalty for forcing a driver off the track. We've got some team radio from Daniel Ricciardo, who's currently in 17th position. Let's have a listen.
Latifi ahead is starting to struggle. Gap 8.6. 44.0 last lap.
Also, Gamer Fabs King, thank you for being a moderator. It very much does help out. Yeah, because we're getting a lot of these bots here appearing. So yeah, thanks for being a mod. Yeah, very much is appreciated. Yeah, I didn't know exactly what else to say because I really went. Yeah, I mean, I'll actually talk about this later. Probably only hit 50k. Might make a video or something about it. But anyway, back to the stream. 2.5 seconds is the gap between Verstappen and Hamilton. So the pace dropping off slightly there from Max Verstappen. It was previously 2.2, now down to 2.5. Yeah, pretty difficult for him. And Leclerc as well, previously was within 1 second of Max Verstappen. He's seemed to drop off as well. So lots of drivers now struggling with tire issues or overheating issues. And yeah, that's probably why we're seeing Verstappen drop off a bit. He's probably going to recharge his battery and then go for a proper attack towards the end of the race. I think what it is, once you've charged out your battery, the Red Bull can go, I think, 3 or 4 laps in Strat 7, which is maximum attack mode. So there we go. That is, yeah, if everything, no worries. Yeah, always prioritize, of course, your work, your exams, before moderating on YouTube. It's really not too big of a deal. So there we go. Ricciardo can't catch Latifi, and by the looks of it, he can't. So there we are. That's probably why he doesn't have a seat for next season. We've got Ocon into the pits now. He's done 2 stints on hard tires. He'll probably be coming in for maybe a set of soft tires as well. With only 10 laps left to go, soft tires might be the best bet. Might be some fun for him as well, trying to overtake all of the other drivers who are on used hard tires. Okie dokes. What else have we got going on? Gap now between Hamilton and Verstappen, 2 seconds. Hamilton sets a personal best lap time. Verstappen is slower than his personal best, but still gains half a second on that lap. So there we are. 2 seconds. So all right, Ocon into the pits. He lost a lot of positions through that pit stop as well, but I think that's to be expected because from 8th position all the way down to 14th, there's only a 12-second gap. So yeah, all of the drivers pretty close together on the circuit. What else is going on? We've got Max Verstappen now 1.8 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, so the gap is just getting closer and closer. We can actually see this Max Verstappen starting to push a lot more aggressively through the first sector. There we go, purple first sector as well. Yeah, just brilliant. I mean, thing with the first sector is you just have to minimize your steering angle as much as possible and then risk as much as curb as you can, because the curbs really minimize your distance and your steering angle. And if you can just get the perfect line over the curbs, you can get a really good first sector, and Max Verstappen doing exactly that. I mean, only one green mini sector through the first sector and still ends up going purple. So that just shows you he really nailed turn number 3, 4, and end up getting purple through the first sector. So what else is there really to say? Gap now down to 1.6 seconds, 1.7 seconds now. But yeah, it's getting very, very close indeed. Also, Kevin Magnussen, the only driver who has yet only done one pit stop. He's done 28 laps on those medium tyres. Eventually, when he does come out of the pits, he's going to come out down in 14th place. So I think his best bet is to just try and stay out. He's got 9 laps left. It's going to be very tough indeed to do an extra 9 laps on those medium tyres when you've done 30 of them already. But he might as well try, because if he pits now, then he's going all the way down into 14th or 15th place, which you might as well just not try. You might as well just stay out. If you get a puncture, then so what? You just come into the pits. So Kevin Magnussen probably will just be staying out. And yeah, he's got a defensive job against Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso as well, he's got 24 lap old hard tyres, so it's still pretty rough on him as well. Yeah, we will just have to wait and see. There we go. All right. 1.7 seconds is the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen. 1.6 seconds now. And it's very much going around in that range. We've got 8 laps left to go. And he's getting closer and closer. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if that gap carries on reducing or if it just stays there at 1.4 seconds. Yeah. All right, we got Alex Albon, Guan Yu Zhou, Yuki Tsunoda, and Seb Vettel all in a DRS train. So choo-choo for the DRS train. And yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for Tsunoda and Vettel to get anywhere. They are very much just stuck behind each other, even though we know Vettel has a lot more pace than the drivers down here in 10th and 11th. He is stuck there because of the DRS train. Alonso overtakes Kevin Magnussen. The medium tyres, someone asked, are the medium tyres going off? They will 100% be going off right now. But you might as well just stick it out. He's really not got much to lose, has he? And it's Haas's home race. He might as well try and score some points. So we will just have to wait and see. The gap now down to 1.083 seconds. So Verstappen very close to DRS range. The issue is, though, now he's going through the first sector where there's quite a lot of dirty air, so he's going to be falling away a bit. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do. We got 9,000 people watching, guys. If you haven't hit the like button or subscribe, please be sure to do so. It definitely does help out the channel. And hopefully we can hit 50k by the end of the season. So yeah, all your subscriptions and like definitely do help out. Okay, we got now Verstappen finally into DRS range going down this straight. He's got that extra bit of top speed. I don't think he's got DRS for this straight exactly, but now he's 8 tenths behind Lewis Hamilton. So if he can hold it together in this third sector, he will have DRS on this next lap. It's getting very, very close indeed between these two drivers. Lewis will be doing his absolute best to defend against Max Verstappen here. But it might be inevitable. Verstappen with those fresher tyres. But the thing is now, we're at lap number 13. This is when the medium and the hard tyres are basically equal performance. So from here on out, in the next 2-3 laps or so, the hard tyres will eventually be faster than the mediums. So here goes nothing, really. It's a battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, last year's 2 title contenders. 8 tenths is the gap. Verstappen has got the DRS range. And he's going down the straight now with DRS, 20 kilometer per hour advantage down the straight compared to Lewis Hamilton. And the gap, which was 8 tenths, already down to half a second. Norris overtakes Kevin Magnussen, so Magnussen now down into 8th place. He's got a 6-second gap now back to Alex Albon. So he's got 6 laps to hold on to a 6-second gap, and then he can end up scoring, I think, 4 points. So it's looking very good. Also, this is a very strange issue indeed. We have Alex Albon, his wing mirror. Oh no, not Alex Albon. We have Fernando Alonso's wing mirror. Wait, whose is it? Oh, it's Esteban Ocon's wing mirror. It's one of the Alpine's wing mirrors. Has just flapping around and it just broke off. So Esteban Ocon's complete wing mirror, his right wing mirror, just fell off. But anyway, back to the overtake battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. 2/10 is the gap going into turn number 12. Extremely close, side by side through turn number 12. Verstappen tries to go around the outside of turn number 13. Hamilton pushes him all the way close to the wall, close to the exit. But Verstappen swoops around the outside through turn number 15. Now Verstappen's got a great exit, and Hamilton now behind Max Verstappen. He's going to go stick as close as he possibly can. We saw this back in 2018. Hamilton getting overtaken down at turn number 15. Luckily, he doesn't go wide like he did in 2018. And here he is now getting now this is Hamilton's turn to attack. So 6/10 is the gap between the two drivers. Verstappen's got the lead on the previous lap. Now we'll wait and see what can happen. Vettel now up into the points. He overtakes Guan Yu Zhou. Actually, I was saying before, Vettel's having a tough time going to overtake Tsunoda and Zhou. He's just proved me wrong. Overtakes both of those drivers now up into the points. Love to see it. But now we've got the battle up at the front once again. 5 laps remaining. We've got Verstappen with half a second advantage over Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton not giving up, not giving up this easily. And also, Hamilton on the hard tires now. His tires are going to be slower than his tires are going to be faster. Than Verstappen's tires. Verstappen, although he's on the mediums, they've worn out significantly more than those hards have. And Hamilton now has the faster tires compared to Max Verstappen. So here we are now, 8/10 going through, going down the straight, and we've got Lewis Hamilton gaining on Max Verstappen, but that top speed advantage the Red Bull had is absolutely enormous, and Hamilton just not closing that gap up. It closed up from 8/10 to 5/10, but no closer. Right. So now the gap's 7/10 of a second. This will probably be his second. This will be his second to last chance. Really, he's had his second to last chance. Now he will be on his last. This next lap will probably be his last chance. Otherwise, he's gonna have too much overheating, too much battery issues, to really challenge Max Verstappen. Leclerc 4 seconds behind him, so they can have a little bit of a squabble, and it should be fine. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty difficult. Okie dokes. So going down through turn number 1, Lewis Hamilton not getting any closer to Max Verstappen. In fact, losing out. He's struggling with the traction out of turn number 1. He's very much pushing very hard, but yeah, not being able to do it very well. So yeah, not ideal there. Hamilton and Verstappen had a great battle through the middle sector, through the final sector. Sorry. But it looks like Hamilton hasn't got the pace to catch back up to him. Vettel, once again, overtaking Alex Albon, and Tsunoda overtaking Guan Yu Zhou. So Vettel now up into 9th place, scoring 2 points for Aston Martin. Hopefully he can recover. I mean, imagine this, if Vettel didn't have that bad pit stop, where would he be right now? Probably up in 6th place behind Fernando Alonso. That would have been great to see. But yeah, there we are. Vettel still recovering from, making the best of a bad situation. Right. Back up at the front, the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen, 7/10 of a second through here. And yeah, Hamilton able to hold on like Leclerc did, but Leclerc could only hold on for, I think, 4 laps or so before the dirty air really got to him. So we've got 4 laps remaining of this race. So if Verstappen can make a mistake in the next 4 laps, then Hamilton will end up winning. If not, then Verstappen will end up winning. Max Verstappen has got a black and white flag for track limits. So he's exceeded track limits 2 times now. And one more track limit extension would mean that he gets a 5-second time penalty, which will not be ideal whatsoever. If he gets a 5-second time penalty, he ends up in 2nd place. And there's no way he's pulling a 5-second gap to Lewis Hamilton right now. So here we go. Max Verstappen has to stay within track limits, otherwise he will get a penalty, and he's also got to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton fastest first sector compared to Max Verstappen, and yeah, it's looking good for him. 6/10 is the gap now, going down into turn number 11. It's a hairpin. Got to get a very good exit indeed off this corner, otherwise it's going to be game over for him. 7/10 is the gap through here, 8/10 in fact. Looks like Hamilton got a bad exit exactly the time when he needed a good exit. He got a bad one, and yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult for him now to catch up. Further down the field, we've got Esteban Ocon overtaking Mick Schumacher. Ocon still running on one wing mirror now, so he can't see behind him on one side of the car. But there we are. Also, just another thing, track limits. Verstappen hasn't got a penalty. He's just been given a warning. I suspect all of the other drivers have probably exceeded track limits one time or the other, but we don't find out until they've been given a warning. So there we go. Also, the other thing is Lewis Hamilton now outside of DRS range from Max Verstappen, so it's not looking good. Leclerc still on the podium though, but Hamilton now outside of DRS range. We've got 2 laps left to go of the US Grand Prix, and it is looking good for Max Verstappen. Also, if it stays like this, then Red Bull end up wrapping up the Constructors' Championship for this year. Vettel making the overtake on Alex Albon rather nicely, goes around the outside. He did exceed track limits, so he might get some sort of warning from the FIA there. But yeah, we will just have to wait and see what happens. He did let Albon go back past though, so fair racing there from Seb Vettel. He overtook Albon outside the track. He slowed down, let Albon get past, and then just re-overtook him again because he was just faster than him. So nice sportsmanship there from Seb Vettel. Gasly up into 12th position now, past Guan Yu Zhou. Zhou's been losing out a lot of positions, in fact. Vettel overtook him, so did Tsunoda, so did Gasly. So unfortunate there. I mean, his teammate Valtteri Bottas lost control of the car and crashed out. So Alfa Romeo not having the best of weekends. Gap between Verstappen and Hamilton currently 1.7 seconds, and we've got 2 laps left to go of this race. Well, nearly now 1.5. So there we are. Who would be your driver of the day? I'm probably going to say Fernando Alonso, as pointed out by Phil. Alonso has been solid all day. Been putting in some very consistent lap times. Had that incident with Lance Stroll, lost a bunch of places, had to come in for an extra pit stop and everything, but still managed to recover to better the rest. So Fernando Alonso, I would vote in for my driver of the day. But saying that, we've got Lando Norris now coming up to attack Fernando Alonso, and Alonso has got 12 lap older hard tires. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Alonso to keep that place. We'll have to wait and see. There are of course only 2 laps remaining of this race, but yeah, a lot could happen in 11 kilometers of racing. We've got Guan Yu Zhou. We've got some team radio from him, so let's have a listen.
More TS, and full push on Vettel now. Full push, maximum push.
Right, so he's just been given the maximum push team radio, but by the looks of it, that was before Gasly overtook him. So yeah, there we go. We'll see if he can re-overtake him, but the Alfa Romeo not looking too good today. We have some more team radio from Max Verstappen, who's now got a 3-second advantage at the front of the field. Let's have a listen.
Hamilton now also 3 strikes on track limits, so just keep it safe from here, Max.
All right, so both drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, are on 3 strikes for track limits. So no need. So both the drivers are exceeding track limits as much as they can get away with. So there we go. George Russell has come into the pits. He's going to be getting fastest lap by the looks of it. Yeah, he's on a set of soft tires, so he's going for fastest lap to get that 1 extra point, take it away from Max Verstappen, but it doesn't really matter too much, to be honest. And yeah, we got Vettel in 9th position, and Kevin Magnussen still in the points. So Haas at their home race looking to score points now. They should be good. We're on lap number 56 of 56. Max Verstappen through the first sector, keeping it clean, no track limit warnings. Yeah. All right, so here we are now. Max Verstappen out of turn number 11 gets a pretty good exit. No DRS for him just yet. Hasn't lapped any driver, of course, because we've had 2 safety cars. So opportunities for making a lapping, is that what it's called? A lapping haven't presented themselves. But we've got Max Verstappen now coming through the third sector for the final time. Through now turn number 15, where he did overtake Lewis Hamilton, and now he's got the final time going through this massive 180-degree right-hand corner, and his front left tire will be saying thank you very much. Don't have to do that again, ever again. And here he goes out the final corner. Max Verstappen wins the US Grand Prix. Absolutely sensational drive from him. And that has wrapped up the Constructors' Championship for Red Bull. Red Bull have won the Constructors' Championship. They have won the Drivers' Championship. And that is absolutely brilliant. Lewis Hamilton comes home in second place. Brilliant drive for Mercedes. And of course, the upgrades that they've got have really shown why they've got, shown their worth. And yeah, Mercedes now back in the fight, especially in race conditions. And then Charles Leclerc up in third place. Started the race in 12th, gained loads of positions. And a very consistent drive up into third. Sergio Perez in fourth. Hadn't had the best weekend. He usually tends to be quite a bit slower around the circuit compared to Verstappen, mainly because of the nature of the circuit. So he's done a good job dealing with that. George Russell crosses the line with the fastest lap of the race. So he will be scoring 1 extra point because of that. And then we've got Lando Norris in 6th. Fernando Alonso in 7th. Great recovery there from Fernando Alonso, in fact. After that incident, Lando Norris unfortunately did overtake him. Of course, he had the 12-lap fresher tyres, but nevertheless, great drive from Fernando Alonso. Vettel up into 8th, overtakes Magnussen on the last lap, but Magnussen still scoring points at Haas's home race, and then Yuki Tsunoda to round out the points in 10th position. So that has been the US Grand Prix, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in. It has been brilliant commentating to you guys. We are on 47,250 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so. I am commentating for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the Mexican Grand Prix, and of course the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We've got the Mexican Grand Prix next weekend, I think. Yeah, we do. So I will be commentating for that as usual for qualifying and the race. So be sure to tune in for that. And yes, so our podium today is Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc. Yeah, what a Grand Prix. Very good indeed. Lots of interesting racing and overtaking. And of course, the battle between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton towards the end was very interesting. That little pit stop mess up probably made the race a lot more exciting than it would have been. So thank you, front left tire, for sticking yourself to the car rather than coming off. And yeah, that has been a very good Grand Prix. Mick Schumacher has just been given a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. It doesn't really affect him too much, but yeah, instead of being in 15th place, he will be down in... Oh no, he'll still just stay in 15th place because Ricciardo's too far back. But that has been it. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I will see all of you guys in 1 week's time. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Have a nice morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I'll see you next week. Cheers, fellas.